Hey everybody, Eric Mahler from Caffe Cocina Coffee Roasting Company. I'm here today to teach you how to do a proper pour over. We're gonna break this video up into a couple different sections as we do in all of our videos to make it very clear and easy for you to follow. We're gonna talk about equipment, we're gonna talk about water, we're gonna talk about coffee, and then we're gonna talk about brewing. Here at Caffe Cocina, we use a Hario V60. This is such a cool little piece of equipment. Anything that you see in the pour over world that looks like this is called a dripper. Okay, this is what your coffee's gonna go into. This is where your filter goes. This is the main piece of equipment. Why do we use a Hario V60? Number one, they're a very popular company. They're used everywhere. They're easily accessible. Even if you're not buying it from us, you can still get it on the web somewhere. It's a really cool piece of equipment because of the technology that they use inside the dripper itself. You'll notice these really cool ridges. The purpose of these ridges is to facilitate water flow. So there's a couple different pour methods that we'll get into down the road, but this is just so cool and it uses specific filters. They have bleach filters, they have unbleached filters. It's very simple. And it has a conical shape to the filter. I've used a lot of pour over equipment and this is just really good stuff. So it's what I prefer and it's what I carry for Caffe Cocina. Down below your dripper will sit either one of two things. It's either going to be a catch vessel or it's going to be a cup. You can use either or. It doesn't matter. Where your catch vessel comes in handy is you can see the volume of coffee as it comes down. They look really cool when you're shooting video or you're taking pictures of it at home to put on your Instagram. And it's also really nice if you're pouring for two people. So if you're not doing a single serving pour over, you're doing a multiple serving pour over. It's really great because you can pour it into individual cups. If you have it in a mug that doesn't have a pour spout, it makes it a little complicated and it can be a little messy. So today we're going to again be using the Hario V60 and then we're going to be also using the Hario catch vessel. The next piece of equipment that I'm going to introduce is a scale. We didn't use a scale in our last video. And again, these videos are designed for you to be able to slowly level up your brewing at home. So today I'm introducing a Hario scale. This is an awesome scale. It's got a start and stop timer and also an on off and a tare button over here. We'll get into a little bit more of the functionality, but a scale is very crucial for proper pour over technique. The fourth piece of equipment that is going to be crucial for this video is a grinder. We talked about it a little bit before when we were doing French press videos. It is so important to use fresh ground coffee for your pour over. Again, we are leveling up that at-home experience to bring out some more of those really cool flavors that we can get from our coffee. This is a Hario hand grinder. These are super cool, they're very accurate, and I really recommend this particular grinder. Again, there's a lot out there, and you can use electric grinders, you can use hand grinders. Doesn't matter, as long as you're using fresh ground coffee for pour overs, you're gonna be just fine. The fifth piece of equipment that we're going to need for our pour over is a kettle. We talked about this in our French press video. You are absolutely 100%, no doubt, going to need a kettle to perform proper pour overs. The next most crucial part of a pour over is clean, filtered water. We introduced this concept in our last video. We said, hey, if you don't have it, no problem, let's slowly build it in. If you want to experience really good pour over, clean, filtered water is crucial. You're gonna start to experience those tasting notes. We talk about that a lot in coffee, and it's a little pretentious, I know. But on the front of these bags, if you're looking at different companies and different bags and different coffees, you're gonna run across tasting notes. They're real, they're out there. This is gonna be a nice introduction for how you can start to experience that. So back to the water. We recommend clean, filtered, 202 to 205 degree water, okay? Really important, can't stress it enough. One really important thing that I do want to point out before we get started is going to be filter choice. Hario V60s are cone shaped. Okay, it looks like a nice cone. There are different filters out there. Doesn't make them bad, doesn't make them better. We prefer these because they have a really nice drain technique. You can choose unbleached or you can choose bleached. You also have the opportunity to use a metal mesh filter for your pour overs. What's the difference between a paper filter and a metal mesh filter? The metal mesh filter is a little bit more environmentally friendly. Let me say that again. It's incredibly environmentally friendly. Your paper filters, yes, you're using them, you're tossing them. What is the big debate? Environmentally friendly. That's it. Now, what do paper filters provide? They catch a lot of the oils. It gives you a clean cup. You're really experiencing what the coffee has. Versus your metal mesh filter, you get a lot of body. It's very similar to what you would find for certain French press techniques, okay? Now, the big difference between a pour over and a French press and many other brewing styles is that your pour over is not a full immersion process. All of that coffee is not sitting in that water, okay? It's slowly draining through and dripping through that filter, okay? And what that's designed to do, again, is to give you a very clean cup of coffee for you to have the opportunity to also taste those tasting notes that we so carefully put on the front of these bags. Select your filter. It is crucial to apply your filter and wet your filter. So take your water, set it in the top, make sure you're not pouring onto your counter. Make sure it's nice and neat. Set it in there and just kind of slowly go around and wet this entire filter. What is the purpose? There are little tiny paper fibers that will stick to these filters, and then they will absolutely 100% find their way into your coffee. You do not want to experience paper in your coffee. It's not fun. It's not nice. You do not want to have a bunch of little tiny paper fibers sitting in your coffee. It's weird, it's gross, especially if you're spending so much time in learning how to do a proper pour over. You don't want to have stuff in there affecting the flavor of your coffee. Once your paper filter is wet, this is a great time to measure and dose your coffee. Today we are using a holiday blend. It is our Cabin Christmas blend. This is the year ends coffee. These coffees are so cool. We put a lot of time and effort into these coffees. So we are extracting the Cabin Christmas blend. It is exquisite. Some of our best work that we've done is right here in these bags. Much like our French press, pour overs have a recipe. All manual extraction brewing methods have a recipe. This is ours that we really like to use at Caffe Cocina. Take your now preheated vessel and wet filter and pull it off of your scale. Turn your scale on. Have a cup, have a little jar, have a glass, something that you can measure your coffee into. The amount of coffee that you're going to want to measure is 12.5 grams. Hario provides a really cool little dosing spoon, so if you do purchase any pour over equipment from us, they will come with dosing spoons. You can use your hands, you can use a teaspoon at home, you can use a sock, don't much care. Make sure you zero out your scale. If you apply anything to your scale, it's gonna measure that weight. So there's a little tear button on this scale. Make sure you tear it out. That way you're actually measuring the weight of coffee that you're putting on that scale. We'll take our Caffe Cocina Cabin Christmas blend and we will again dose 12.5 grams. 12.5 grams. That is just the magical number. I've had a lot of pour overs in my day. I've made a lot of pour overs. I've had a lot of good ones. I've had a lot of bad ones. Start here. You might like a richer cup of coffee. If you do, add a little bit more coffee. If you don't like something as rich, add a little less coffee. Again, coffee's a balance. If you like a richer cup, add a little bit more coffee. If you like a less rich cup, use a little bit less coffee. This is a great starting point. Great, you've got your coffee dosed. You've got it weighed. You're gonna grab your grinder. And again, if you've got an electric at-home grinder, just weigh out your beans and then throw them into your grinder and then just hit go and then throw them right into your Hario or your pour over vessel. We're gonna do a hand grinder. I love these things. They're really cool and it makes an awesome sound. It's so smooth. Okay, if you're using a hand grinder, no, it doesn't take that long. You're gonna know that all of your grounds have left your grind chamber when you hear this. Nothing. Now, the Hario hand grinder is super cool. It's super cool for a couple reasons. Number one, it uses titanium burrs. Very strong, very sharp. And it's got this really cool little grind adjuster. So if you want a more coarse grind or if you want a finer grind, it's very easy to adjust. It's just right here. The grind that you are going to use for your pour over is crucial. We want something that is more fine than a standard drip grind. And if we can do a close-up for you, it's going to be right in here. You'll see it really clear when we put it into our pour over vessel. You want something that is more fine than a drip grind. Okay, something compared to really fine table salt. Great. So your coffee is ground. It is measured. What you're going to do at this point is discard your water. Your filter is wet. We are ready to add our coffee. Now, you zeroed out your scale. You've got all this stuff on here. You should have a higher number than 0 on your scale right now. Zero that bad boy out, because the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to weigh our coffee. It is going to be 360 grams of 202 to 205 clean filtered water. At this point, you're ready to start brewing. This is the most exciting part. It's also a very crucial one. A lot of people will forget this. Don't forget this part. It's a blooming period. You're gonna take your water and you're going to add 60 grams. So pay attention to your scale down here. And again, this is a lot of stuff to cover. Don't get intimidated, don't be scared. Take it a step at a time. You might not get it right the first time. That's okay. I didn't, but here I am now. I love pour overs. I've done hundreds of them. You will get better, don't give up. Your blooming period. Add 60 grams of water to your coffee. What this process is going to allow us to do is saturate these grounds and wake them up just a little bit. Now, I'm not pouring on the filter, I am pouring all the grounds, and there is some technique involved with this. You want to get enough water in your dripper to saturate these grounds, but you don't want to add too much and you don't want to have too little. You want to have just enough water in there to saturate all of the grounds. And again, this is going to wake them up. If you've done this properly, you're going to see your coffee have a little dome to it, and it's going to smell so good. Not to say that all of your coffee is going to smell good. If it's not from Caffe Cocina, it's probably not going to smell that great. This is a really cool time to interact with your coffee and get those little initial aromas coming off of your coffee. This stuff is absolutely awesome. So take some time, build those aromas in there, get familiar with them, and get really excited. Your blooming period should take anywhere from 30 to 40 seconds. So it's not a crazy amount of time. So about 30 to 40 seconds, you'll notice the water will start to pull through, and that dome that was once there is now coming down just a little bit. This is your initial pour. We're gonna take that 60 grams of water that you just added, don't tear it. We're gonna add to it. We're gonna take it all the way up to 360 grams of water. Pouring technique is crucial. I will show you. The proper way to do a pour over is to slowly work in tiny little circles all the way around this filter. Yes, this is not your quick in the morning cup of coffee. This is absolutely a level up for your enthusiastic people that are really trying to dive into coffee. It's a couple steps, but the cup that you're going to get from a pour over coffee is unmatched. Now, paying attention, I'm using 2 hands to do this pouring method, okay? The 2 hands gives you a little bit of control. Now, I can do it because, I've been doing it for a long time. I recommend 2 hands. Even to this day, I pour with 2 hands. It just gives a little bit more control and a little bit more comfort to the process. Continue to pay attention to how much weight you're adding to your scale. I'm really paying attention not to have a very heavy pour. You want a really nice fine drip coming from this. We'll get a close-up on this. And it's just ever so slight. This is that control that that gooseneck is going to give you. It is just so important to have these and then to have a nice proper pouring technique. This is gonna take a little time to develop. It's gonna be a little frustrating. Stick with it. You'll get better and better and better. Now I'm coming to 340 grams of water. 350, 355, 358, and 360. Great. I'm agitating the grounds so that they don't stick on the side of the filter and they can continue to interact with the water and drain properly. Why do we have to do all these things? Consistency. So that you can really start to educate your palate and start to understanding the simple and complex nuances that coffees can deliver. Be consistent. Have a recipe. If you're doing something one way, make sure you do it again the second way, because it might be that tiny little thing that will differentiate the flavor of your cups. So if you're thinking, oh, I did it this way, I'm gonna do it this way next time and it's gonna taste better. Not quite, especially if you change your coffees. Okay? So if you go from a medium roast to a dark roast, you're gonna get a different experience. Stay consistent with your recipe. 12.5 grams of coffee to 360 grams of water with a 60-gram bloom. You might have noticed right there, and I explained it a little bit, but I want to dive into it one more time. I picked this up and I started to shake it around a little bit. You'll notice throughout your brewing process that coffee grounds are going to stick to the side of that paper filter. I give that little jostle, it's called agitation. And what is super important about that is we want the coffee grounds to continually interact with that water throughout the drip process. So moving that around a little bit collects those grounds back towards the base of the filter. Cool, you're done. The only thing left for you to do is pour and enjoy this coffee. Now, grab your favorite mug, Caffe Cocina, of course. Heat it up. This is cool. When you're preheating your Hario filter or whatever dripper that you're using, it's always cool just to give a little water in there to preheat your cup. Okay? Why are we doing that? Heat exchange. If you take hot coffee and put it into a cold vessel, you can change a little bit of that. Pour over is all about consistency. So if you're preheating your cups, I recommend it. Please do it. Give it a couple minutes to do that. So again, when you're preheating all this, it's a good idea to preheat your mug. Now, if you're doing it into a cup, that saves you a step. Cool, you've got your favorite mug. Go ahead and take your filter, discard it. Coffee grounds are great in the garden. If you want to put coffee grounds in your garden beds, A+ for you. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Yay! Take your Hario V60 off, give it a nice rinse in the sink, and then if you've done this into the cup, you got nothing else to do. Take your catch vessel and pour yourself a nice cup of pour over coffee. Why do I do that? Why do I do that? Aeration. It adds a little bit to your coffee. I love doing it. It's a presentation thing as well. That air adds to that coffee, just kind of opens things up a little bit, similar to a bottle of wine. All right, what's left to do? Enjoy the coffee, right? Man, that is delicious stuff. There you have it, folks, a great recipe for pour over coffee. If you're interested in any of our seasonal blends, any of our retail, decaf, or single origin blends, or if you're interested in any of the equipment that you've seen us use here today, please visit www.caffecocina.com. Once again, I'm Eric Mahler of Caffe Cocina Coffee Roasting Company. It's been a pleasure.